If it hurts, game the brakes, no get you know it up, put on more speed. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our leading our ball game. Ball, obstacles, block, cut, sides, through the game, tap, this win it is. Rush it again, here for the first mate. Carry everybody, keep it there for 6 minutes.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Just look around. You got the mountains, you got the most beautiful city in the whole entire country. The university is absolutely, looks like it's out of a storybook. It's just beautiful. People are incredibly genuine and extremely nice. It's just a place that obviously I'd want my kids to go to school. And it sells itself. You don't have to sell anything about this place. You just got to get them here. You know, the old field of dreams. Yeah. Build it and they will come. It's already built.
We've got to raise the bar, and we've got to continue to raise the bar. I don't think any of those young men, when they signed to come to Tennessee, they signed to say they wanted to come and be a part of a 7-6 program. All right, they said they wanted to come and compete for championships, SEC championships, national championships. I know that's what I want. I know that's what Tennessee wants. I know that's what the expectation is. So we've got to continue to reassess everything that we're doing and make sure that we're continuing to move the needle in the right direction.
I've said it from when I got here. The expectation, the standard is to play elite defense here, not just good defense. This is the home of Eric Berry, Al Wilson, Reggie White. The standard is to be elite.
Yeah, you know, again, I think we should really have the best defensive line in the country. You know, I feel really good about our depth that we're building. I feel really strongly about, you know, their attitude and the determination that those guys have played with. You know, and again, I'm not even talking as much about football, just great guys. You know, they're great human beings and, you know, they've really worked hard. And, you know, as coaches, we want to see guys develop and reach their full potential.
But you know what? Let's talk a little Vols. That is not me trying to take any shine away from the phenomenal channel Talkin VAWLS and my guy Boogie Bentley runs. So shout out to them. But let's talk a little Vols here.
Good Wednesday evening. Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. He's Coach Jay. Coach, it's feeling like a Friday morning. It kind of feels like football season. It feels like a Friday morning. Instead of Jim Beam, we've got coffee and a rock star. We're going to sit down and talk football. It's been a minute. Since we had a Boogie and Coach Jay show.
Yeah, just a little bit, but we'll dive right back into the cool waters of Tennessee Volunteer football. Looking forward to the stream today. It's hot out here in Southern California, man. It was like 107 today where I was, man.
Whose fault's that?
I was dying out there. It's I probably mine in some way. Most things are. That's what Miss J tells me anyway. So
that's what you get for complaining about 75-degree weather.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So enjoy it.
it's been pretty much 97 degrees since I made that complaint. So
Oh, it's not
fun.
98. It's not. I bet it's
Not
97,
ooh,
but it feels like 98,
feels
right?
like 98. Yeah,
Right. I
extra
bet that's
dry.
what it is. We got a lot to get into. Shout out to Coach Rice. He's hanging out in the chat. He's spending time with the family tonight. Little dude's got a birthday. And we said, Coach Rice, you go take care of the family. You go have a good time. Me and Coach Jay will jump on and get into it because there's a ton of stuff to get into, man. Ton of stuff to talk about on recruiting. I made the video on the On300 updated rankings. A lot of you guys in the chat, a lot of you guys in the comment section, you're mad. You're mad. And you wanted somebody to
They were
talk to
big
you about it. So I said, I played the role of Coach Jay on that video. I got so many comments that said, why are you not more angry? And I was like, maybe Coach Jay's mellowing me out. But we're going to get into it. We're going to see what you guys are saying in the chat. Speaking of the chat, let's go see what's going on in the chat right now. Let's see who the early arrivals were. That's what I like to see. Who was here right after the stream was, maybe I don't want to see everybody. Brad was the first one here, dropping custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, as was Shane Mountain. Shout out to Shane. Carl, the accountable accountant, Balaban is here. Says, howdy, everyone. Sora the Demon is here. Says, let's start checking the names off the list. I got a long list of commitments coming up that we're going to break down. Matt Dumit's in the house. What's up, brother? Says, go big orange. Bubbles is speculating, and that's okay. That's what we as fans do, talking about Shan Davon Bradley. We're going to get into it. We can speculate. We're fans. We have the right to do that. BG's in the house. Says, this will be my first live call in over a month. I've been missing out. Yes, you have, but it is good to see you back in the chat. Highland View becomes a member of the channel. Shout out Highland View. You guys can do that. Hit that join button right beside subscribe. It's $1. It's $1. You like the content, the live streams. You like Coach Jay's dry sense of humor. You like Coach Rice and his emotional reactions. Whatever it is you like about this channel, you can hit that join button for just $1, and you keep the lights on around here. We would appreciate it. Spooky's been a member for 20 months. If Spooky can be a member for 20 months, so can you. Shout out little Spooky. Philip from Wartburg has also been a member for 20 months. Says, tell us something good, Boogie. Well, we're going to start with something. I don't know. Is it bad? Is it negative? Let's just jump right in. Let's peel the old Band-Aid off. This came out earlier today. Parker Thune tweets out news. At least he just said news. You ever see somebody on Twitter that it would be like me. Like, you're not a media guy, you're not an insider, and they post breaking news. 75 people have already posted it, but you've got the scoop. So shout out Parker Thune. You did have the breaking news. But redshirt freshman defensive end Shan Davon Bradley has left the Tennessee football program and enrolled at Hutchinson Community College in Kansas. The 6'4", 230-pound Platte City native was an Under Armour All-American and 4-star signee in the 2023 class for the Vols. What are your first thoughts, Coach Jay? I know you had seen this. We were talking about it a little bit before we go live, but what's your first reaction when you see this news?
I mean, not entirely surprised. Whenever a kid gets bounced around from positions, you tend to wonder, are they sticking? Are they finding their home? Do they need to go somewhere else and work on something for a little while? I know a lot of people are speculating about, is it grades? Is it on the field? I know there is one thing that I love about this. We will probably not know, right? Josh Heupel has kept these things where they should be kept, locked tightly in the foot locker at the edge of the team room. And that I'm very, very happy for, because that's where these kind of issues belong. You don't want them getting out. Look, this is a young man trying to find his way in the world. Think about how many kids don't make it to the NFL, right? How many kids don't start on a Division I football field? It doesn't mean that football and athletics have something very, very valuable to add to this young man's life and to teach this young man about becoming a man, right? Becoming a full-blown man functioning out there in the world. So thing number one, best of luck to Mr. Bradley out there. I hope you get whatever you're after. And beyond that, it's just onward and forward, right? It's the program first, always. At least that's the way I view it. I know it's the way Josh Heupel views it. I know it's the way a lot of you crazy ball faithful in the chat view it. Look, if you're not in the boat, if you're not rowing in the right direction, which is towards that SEC title, which is towards that national championship, which is towards that perfect record, if you're not in the boat, then go ahead, swim to shore. But if you're in the boat, let's go, baby. Let's start rowing and let's get to our goals.
You know, one of the big questions I always got asked about Okoye, what's going on with Emmanuel Okoye, and what's going on with Shan Davon Bradley. And there was so much buzz, even before this news broke, but especially after, when people were asking why, what happened, that he didn't have that want to, and that he also struggled adding weight. And, you know, reading VolQuest, and AP said there were a lot of issues, but then he goes on to say sometimes the public just doesn't need to know. And I agree with that. And like you said, Josh Heupel does a great job keeping things under wrap. But that's just that's what happens when you sign up to come play football at the University of Tennessee, right? Like I'm just a dumb YouTuber in East Tennessee on the internet talking about a football team that I'm passionate about, and I get it, right? I get the hate, I get the criticism, I got people DMing me, threatening me, like nonsense, right? But that's what happens when you put yourself out there on a platform. That's what happens when you sign up to play football at the University of Tennessee. So reading what AP said, saying, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, but sometimes you just don't need to know. For me, when I first saw the news and saw that he was going to a community college, I said, oh, it's great. It's got to be great, right? You go to Shan Davon Bradley's Twitter. I love this. Extreme thank you to the entire Vol football staff for everything you guys have done for me. You can roll on up. It's talking that he's retweeting the offers that he got out of high school, but then I'm assuming that this is his mom right here. She says, people will talk. People will have their own accusations, but you go be great. Block out all the noise. As we always tell you, God is in control of all things. Your season will be your season. It's not about where you've been. It's about where you go. And then she goes on to say, Tennessee's been great, and we will definitely miss Rocky Top. We support the coaches and all the players. We will keep in touch with all the wonderful friends and fans that have come our way. Once of all, always of all, I will continue to sport my UT gear. There was another tweet. Now I can't find it. Maybe it was throughout the thread where they basically said, hey, this is not about grades. It's not about grades. So I don't know if it's off field issues. Somebody said in the chat that he was buried on the depth chart, right? And he was. You're looking at a room that's got James Pierce, Joshua Josephs, Caleb Herring. By the way, Jordan Ross coming in as a freshman, expected to possibly make the 2 deep. He's buried on the depth chart. If he was to transfer out right now, he can't go to the SEC. He can't go to Division I. I don't think there's anywhere he can go and actually play this year. However, if you transfer down, you go to community college, you've got an opportunity to get on the field this year, continue to work, try to improve yourself rolling into next year. Unpack some of that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, he didn't want it enough. I mean, maybe, but once again, it's speculating, right? It's just speculating. This I will tell you. There are kids who are going to get to Tennessee in this class, in this coming up class that we're recruiting, that are going to show up there, and it's going to be a big slap in the face wake up call, right? All of a sudden, you're not the 6'5", 230 kid against other high schoolers, right? You're going up against James Pierce. You're going up against Lance Hurd. All of a sudden, there's a Mays kid at center pulling and putting your face in the dirt, right? That environment is for dogs. It's for the Southeastern Conference is the best football players in America, right? Those are the kids that are coming to Tennessee right now. That's going to funnel some guys out, right? Like it just is at the end of the day. And if you need to take a step back because you weren't ready for that environment yet, to me, it's not really a mock of shame. It's just where you are in your football journey. And I'll tell you what, where Shan Davon Bradley is in his football journey is a lot further along than a lot of people you ever will know will make it in their football journey. So put a lot of respect on that. You definitely, for Coach Jay, you take a step into junior college at this point because, like you said, Boogie, you can't reset, into the Southeastern Conference. Maybe you're not ready for the Southeastern Conference. Maybe you feel like maybe you're not even ready for the Big 12. Maybe I do need some time on the field. Maybe I need some time not buried in the depth chart, actually out there proven. I'll tell you what, junior college football can be tough, man. I'm sure Mr. Wallace, who comes on this channel, can attest to it. There are plenty of good football programs at the junior college level, and you're not going against high school kids anymore. You're going against men out there who have been playing football a long damn time. And it will get you better. It will hone in your game. And maybe, just maybe, he sharpens that knife. He gets that blade a little bit finer. he's able to make it somewhere into the Big 12 for a senior season, and all of a sudden maybe he's in a contract year and he can put it together. Things like that happen, and that's just football, man. That's just football.
Yeah, Dylan bringing up a good point. Hutchinson is a powerhouse in Missouri. Look, that's why the Last Chance U show, man. And I know you're maybe talking about some diamonds in the rough there that went on to make it back to the big stage. And, maybe that's what happens with Shan Davon Bradley. But we wish him the best. I get it. I hate to get on here and speculate, but at the same time, I say it every video. That's what we do. We're fans. We're going to speculate. That's what we do. Yeah. That's what this channel is all about. Good old Nate Pruitt drops a $10 super chat. The tip jar is open. So shout out, Nate. We appreciate it, brother. Says cover charge. Boogie, howdy, Coach Jay. God bless and go Vols. That's, good old Jim Ross. He's got some sayings, but good old Nate Pruitt, his saying, if we ever want to release a Nate Pruitt shirt, it's going to say, God bless and go Vols. Shout out, Nate. We appreciate it, brother. We got, I don't know, what do we got? We got around 200 people watching live on YouTube. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Smash that thumbs up. Share out the link. Let them know we're live talking a little recruiting. We're going to talk about some recruiting rankings here in just a second. We got almost 300 people watching across all the platforms. Come on over to YouTube. That's the place to be. We stream it everywhere to kind of hook you guys in and get you over here on the YouTube platform. But let's jump into the On300 rankings. And again, I made a video on Monday about this because everybody be talking about these rankings. Everybody's upset. On3 Recruits actually just tweeted this out a little bit earlier before we went live. The On3 industry rankings updated Tennessee down to 15th. Coach, we're gonna get into these rankings, but how you feeling?
Honestly, I know you're expecting this from me, Boogie. I don't care. I don't care about off-season rankings. I don't care if a kid got hurt and didn't go to camp. I don't care if the last time you saw him, the ball didn't have the perfect amount of velocity when you looked from an angle of the 20-yard line to 40 or something. I just don't care. I care about in-season highlights. I care about in-season bumps. I care about what you actually put on your resume out on the football field. And to that point, I think Josh Heupel is happy with what George McIntyre is, very happy what he's put on tape. And if y'all haven't had a chance to go check out George's highlight reels, his junior or sophomore season, go ahead and do it. I think he's an amazing player. I think he's going to be one heck of a quarterback for Tennessee. But at least if we're, putting George in a little bit of a bubble here, that's how I feel about George. Now, I will say something else, and dang it, I hope I'm wrong. Let's get controversial for a second, right? Maybe it's not controversial. I don't put George as I don't put George as a high of a. I don't think all 5 stars and blue chips are built the same, and judged the same in my eyes. I don't put him on that truly elite blue chip level that I put Nico on, but I put him on a higher 5-star level than I do certain quarterbacks that were at Tennessee and then UNLV. Let's put it that way.
Well, and I think that was the big one. When the updated rankings came out, everybody was talking about George, right? And how much he fell off. And then it kind of got doubled down on today because 247 Sports updated their rankings, which dropped George down to, he's a 4-star across the board on all platforms. But like you said, like for me, like I kind of expected it, right? As Tennessee fans, we talk about how, the negativity, how the media hates us and blah, blah, blah. There's always a narrative. I just expected it. I expected it, and I didn't care because guess what? I thought there was going to be so much focus on George not going through the Elite 11. I thought that was going to be a big focal point, but Charles Power put out an update. He's the one that evaluates the talent at On3, and I'll read it. I'll read it again. I read it in the video, but I'll read it again. He says, starting off with George, we are not penalizing him for not going to the Elite 11 finals, but more so operating with what we saw from him at 2 camps he did attend this spring, the Elite 11 Regional in Oxford and Under Armour camp in Nashville, where I saw him in person. We left those events with more questions than answers relative to his overall arm talent. Just would have liked to see more juice in his arm and see him spin the ball more consistently. I know he had some extenuating circumstances as a junior. His offensive line struggled, played a tough schedule. Those extenuating circumstances he's talking about, AP kind of put it out there, said that George didn't want it known that he was having some back issues throughout his junior season, but he didn't want excuses. And that makes me love George McIntyre even more. He doesn't want you to say, well, with his back, his offensive line. Kept that quiet. I love that. He goes on to say, we still like the playmaking ability and his feel for operating in the pocket. With that said, when you look at the full balance of on-field performance and in-person evaluations, the QBs ahead of him have done more to this point. We'll be watching him closely as a senior along with the rest of the group. I said it in the video Monday. I'll say it again, or Tuesday, whenever I put it. It all blends together at this point. George McIntyre is the same quarterback today that he was yesterday. He's the exact same guy. He's the guy that Josh Heupel wanted. He's the guy that Josh Heupel got, and he's the quarterback that I want. He's the hometown hero, and he's still a five-star hearts. We got 5-star hearts around here at the University of Tennessee. I still love me some George McIntyre, but kind of speculate on that as a coach, hearing Charles Power talk about camps and what he witnessed. And you've been to a lot of camps. You've worked with some Tennessee commits at camps. What do you learn from a camp versus what you learn at an actual game on a Friday night?
To me, it's not measurable. There is one thing that you can get out of camp. If it's a real high-level camp, you're going to see them be able to move athletically with kids that are at their speed athletically, right? Kids are going to be playing at a D1, every rep. But the thing is, once again, a camp's a camp. Some kids show up to camp in PJs and messing around, right? Some kids, just don't take camps extremely seriously. Some take them way too serious. You see it on every level of the spectrum. It's hard to know exactly which camp, what was in George's mind, what was bothering him that day, what wasn't bothering him that day. Did he look really just bad for that day, right? Did he have a bad day? We all have bad days out there. I promise you could have gone to a practice during spring ball and came away from the practice and went, man, Nico, I don't know what's wrong with Nico. Nico had a bad day, right? If you're watching that whole practice, I'm a little worried about Nico. That's really easy for anyone to have a bad day. I don't put too much into camps. I think you see a lot more consistency of the play throughout a football game and a lot more punctuality in play throughout a football game. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys can correct me on my Tennessee football if I'm wrong, but he plays for what, Brentwood Academy? Is that what he plays for? That's a pretty big time school out there in Nashville area.
Plays in the most competitive division in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah, well, there you go, right? So you're going to get a much better read for him. And everything I've seen, once again, in his highlight reels, screams high-level 5-star athlete. This is someone that Heupel's seen a lot of tape on. And guess what? Heupel, you could only really argue, missed on one quarterback evaluation in his life. And I'll tell you what, if you put that quarterback stats next to other people's misses in their life, man, I bet a lot of other people would take that miss, man, because it wasn't that bad of a miss at the end of the day. I know we like to throw darts at the dartboard, but at the end of the day,
draft pick. That's an NFL draft pick. Your miss is an
NFL draft pick. And that's kind of my point. And listen, we always talk about it on this channel, right? We're going to beat it to death today. It's all about your evaluations, right? How well you can evaluate that player, how well they're going to be able to translate athletically onto a college football field. And then your development. How quick and fast can you get them up to speed physically in their development and mentally in their development to play in the SEC? Listen, George is going to be great. And I'll tell you what, if you want to talk about a robbery, for me, it's not George. There's another kid that I believe got robbed way worse than George in those rankings, and that was Jack Van Dorselaer. I mean, to coach, when you watch that kid's in-game highlights, go watch Coach Jay's breakdown, right? There's a playlist for it of Jack Van Dorselaer. That kid is tailor-made for Tennessee's offense. You can line him up outside. You can line him up on the slot. He's a SOB blocking on the line, all right? He can put 3 in the dirt. He can run you. He can crack you. He can do all those little things. I guarantee you, unless he has an injury, this kid's going to go do work at South Lake next year. And I thought Jack had a little bit bigger of a gripe than George McIntyre in the droppings.
Drops just outside the On300, 315th is where Jack Van Dorsey comes in. And I think that's why when you look at the overall narrative, and I can go back on the article here and we can kind of look at it and go through it. But you look at the grand scheme of things, they came after they dropped the heartbeat of the class, right? They dropped George and they dropped Jack Van Dorsey, who are really the two biggest recruiters for Tennessee in this class of 25. We'll go through some of the other ones here in just a second. Jody Wooten, been a member for 30 months. That is a long time. You guys want to support the channel, hit that join button. It's $1. If you watch, if you're a lurker in the chat, say hello. Say hello. Say what's going on, Coach Jay. What's going on, Boogie? I love the show. I know a lot of people watch and never comment. Would love to get you guys jumping into the live chat because that's what makes it fun. Speaking of the chat, let me take this off the screen for a second and let me praise the chat. Let me tell you guys something. We got an interview coming up with Jaden Lofton, 4-star edge rusher. Just got a big boost in his rankings. We're gonna get into that in just a second. Been talking a lot with his uncle, and he wants to come on the show. He said Jaden's a communications major. He wants to jump on, wants to hang out, wants to interact with you guys. And the more I talked to his uncle, the more he said, I love what you guys do because it's so different than anything else. He said, it's not like the media. It's not like these national media or local media. You guys are diehard, passionate fans, and it's not about you. It's about you and your chat and your community, and that's what we love. We want to come interact with the fan base, and they felt like Talkin VAWLS was the place to do that. So next Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to have Jaden Lofton on the show, and that's because of you guys. That's why. That is why that is happening. So shout out to you for what man, you give us the opportunity to do this. Jody Wooten, member for 30 months. That was a plug for memberships. I'm shilling and plugging all the time. You can hit the join button. We would appreciate it. Jody says, saw the biggest, he says, clickbait article this morning from SI. It said that Brame had committed to the Vols, thought maybe he flipped. Article didn't mention him. Well, there's a lot of weird stuff going around, especially on Facebook, fake articles and such. But I did hear from a little birdie that the University of Oregon is expecting a decommit in the class of 2025 coming soon. What does that mean? Something to keep your eye on. Rocky Top Tom is in the house, drops a $10 super chat. We appreciate that, brother. The tip jar is open. He says, here's a super late door fee. I had some bad shrimp. Well, why'd you do that? Coach Jay, thank you. I agree. I love what Coach Eibel is building, no matter the ratings. It's just a bias that ticks me off. Winning and this channel cure everything. Well, winning does. I don't know that this channel really cures anything. Shout out Brian Rimpo in the chat. He says, I'm a lurker. I'm hanging out. Anybody else? Any other lurkers coming out? Let's see.
All kinds of lurkers. Hey, Brame was the kid with the girlfriend at UT, right?
That's exactly. Nelson's the one that sent that to me. Sent that little click of it was an Oregon beat writer that put it out, and I sent back. The girlfriend got to him. The girlfriend got to him.
Baby, I don't want to be away from you. I miss you. I
told
you, baby. Come back home. Yeah. Probably.
There were rumors that she deleted all of his pictures off of Instagram, all kinds of funny stuff when Brame committed to Oregon. But that's something to keep an eye on. If you see a decommit, is it Brame that drops off there? But let's, again, Jack Van Dorsey, George McIntyre, both huge drop off, especially George. But then you look at everything else. Radarius Jackson, Ethan Utley, they had a small drop off, not much. Douglas Utu, Charles House, they didn't move at all. We're talking about on 3 rankings now, not industry. On 3. Utu and Charles House didn't move at all. You got a small bump up for Nick Moore and Marion Dye, and then you got a huge jump for Jaden Lofton here if you look at the screen. Made a huge jump in the rankings. Lofton was previously not inside the On300, but after this update, he is now rated 157 overall. Let me go take a look at what Charles Power said about him. So we really like Lofton's athleticism and juice off the edge, going back, watching his film, camp performance. We like how he stacked up in the edge group. As I said earlier, that's a position Tennessee's done a great job with under Heupel. Van Dorsey added this on. Let's piggyback this. Van Dorsey was right on that 3-4-star cusp for a while, and there were some tight ends that moved ahead of him. But what do you like about Jaden Lofton? I know we've talked about him. We did some stuff talking about him previously, whether he ends up at the edge or defensive line. But what do you like about his game?
Just his athleticism either way and his speed. He is so quick and unlike James Pierce in one way is I believe his body and frame can put on more weight than James was able to put on. So you start to think about a a kid who could either play that weak side or defensive tackle. And man, I'll tell you what, you put a kid in a defensive tackle body that can move like James Pierce, and you certainly have a headache for every offensive line coach in the Southeastern Conference. We'll see how his body pans out, but certainly if he's got to stay at end, there's no problem there. This kid's got all kinds of athleticism. He's got hops, man. He's got a bunch of different moves at his disposal, all the tools in the tool bags. He's got good get up, knows the game of football really well, and understands where he needs to be on the field. I think On3 was right with this one and dead on, and not to cheer them when they get things right, but I was high on Jaden Lofton before they bumped him.
So again, like, we're not going to spend too much time on the rankings because I really want to get into recruiting. But when and I know you said you don't care about rankings and ratings, but when you do look at it, and George and Jack fell off, Rodarius Jackson, Ethan Utley, small drop off. We'll counter that by saying you got a small bump up for Nick Moore and Marion Dye. Douglas Utu, Charles House didn't move. You get a huge jump from Jaden Lofton. Is there some narrative here? Is there an issue, or are us Tennessee fans just let's put Coach Rice, let's just make an example out of him overreacting?
Yeah, well, of course, listen, Tennessee fans overreact. I don't think that's possible, Boogie. You're telling lies, absolute nonsense. A Tennessee fan is always even keeled and will never overreact to any news of any kind. So no, we're good there. But no. Hey, listen, look, our edge room and Rodney Gardner have kind of earned that respect, right? Our offense fell off a little last year. Is doubt creeping in? I don't know. I don't think so. I think the recruiting sites just need to sell memberships in the off season, and that's what this is about more than anything, personally. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. There's only two people's opinions of George McIntyre I'm concerned about, and that's one, Josh Heupel, and two, David Sanders. Right? Those are the only.
I didn't know if you were going Joey Halsley. I didn't know if you were going Halsley. I love that it's Josh Heupel and David Sanders.
Yeah, and I think everyone wants David in the boat. So something tells me though David Sanders didn't open his On3 subscription and go, oh crap, they dropped George. I'm committing to Ohio State though, right?
I'm out.
I don't believe that happened. I don't think anyone really believes that happened. But I will say this: I do think Tennessee will. I don't think those players will end up where they are now after the season. I think you'll see them get a ratings bump after the season. God willing, they stay healthy and, are able to play a healthy season. I do think they will jump up. But there is one side of this that when it's all said and done, I think it does help the overall image of Tennessee when you can say, hey, we had a top 10 class, right? We had a top 5 class. Kids do take notice of who pulled in those highly ranked classes. So we do have to keep plugging away and keep moving towards that top 10 class.
You brought up a good point talking about it's the off season, right? It's recruiting season.
Yeah.
They need engagement, and there's such a thing as engagement farming. And they know that our fan base is the most passionate fan base in existence. That's why Vol Twitter is a thing, right? We got a name. We got a name because Vol Twitter takes over the world. We shut down coaching hires. That's what Tennessee fans do. So if you throw shade at Tennessee, if you drop their 5-star quarterback, guess what? They're all going to click on your links. They're all going to promote it. They're all going to be on their YouTube channels, wink, wink, talking about it. Like, engagement farming is real, and that's how they get through the offseason. It's why you'll see a guy like Steve Wiltfong say Georgia leads for David Sanders, Clemson leads for David Sanders, Tennessee leads for David Sanders. Oh, we're down to the wire. We got to continue to keep that buzz around David Sanders because it's a dead period. There's no news. So I'll just say that the nod goes to Ohio State right now. Does Steve Wiltfong know right now? No. But when he puts that out there about Ohio State having a slight lead, guess what? Ohio State fans click it. We click it. That's the reality of the media. And like, I don't fault them. I'm not Steve Wiltfong's great at what he does. But AP talking about David Sanders, not to bury the lead for the main event here tonight, he said, wait till Steve puts in the crystal ball. That's when we'll know where David Sanders is going to end up. Look, we're going to jump in. We're going to talk some Cruitin. We got some big-time commitments. Travis Smith right around the corner coming up on Saturday. Christian Gass, Shady Hayward, Juan Gaston, Faison Brandon. We're going to kick off the class of 2026 and also main evented by David Sanders. We got Jaden Perlotti on Flip Watch. Onus Conanbanny has been predicted to Tennessee. He's committed to Tennessee on a live stream, but he has yet to set a date. So we will see what happens there. But we're going to get into all that. But guess what? We're talking Cruitin. So I need you guys to go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS and pick up this brand new Cruitin shirt. Check that out. It's got Coca-Cola classic font, Cruitin, with Boogie and the coaches. Maybe we should just change that. Can we put out an alternate version and cross just like a big red X and then just say with Boogie and Coach J? I don't know. Would that be offensive? I don't know. But you can go check that out, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. That link's in the description below. We also got a lurker shirt. All you lurkers in the chat, you hang out, you love the show, you watch it every morning, you're drinking your coffee, or you tune in at night for the live streams, but you never comment. Let people know you're a lurker. You got that Talkin VAWLS network on there as well. Knoxville, Tennessee checkerboard shirt. All of it is there. The link is in the description below. There's also a link down there where you can become a member of the channel. There's a link where you can join the Patreon account because EA Sports College Football drops next week, and we're going to have a dynasty. Myself, Coach Jay, Coach Rice, Dauber. I think there's 11 spots left that you guys can get in where you fit in. It's on the PlayStation 5, but you got to join that Patreon if you want to be a part of it. Coach Jay, you been thinking about who you going to play with in the dynasty?
I'm down to let's say three, 4 teams. I mean, I picked last, so I got to have options. You know what I'm saying? I got to have some options.
Yeah,
I got some options though.
I was thinking about who I was going to pick, but I couldn't. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. You know what I mean? I was trying to think who did I want to be in the dynasty, and I really couldn't think about it. But we'll see. But it's going to be fun, man. And I know the best plug that I can give it, and what I've said is picture this: picture Tennessee is getting ready to play Florida, and they're undefeated. They're undefeated, and you're hyped up. College game day is going to be in town, and you look at the old EA Sports College Football Talkin VAWLS Dynasty, and you see, I play Coach Jay this week. So you get to sit down with Coach Jay on a Thursday night, a Wednesday night, a Friday night, who knows? And you're going to go one-on-one with Coach Jay. You're going to be on a headset, and you get to pick his brain and say, Coach Jay, break down the Florida game for me. That is what this thing's all about. It's about building the community. The link's in the description if you want to join the Patreon and come play in the Dynasty, man. I cannot wait. But let's talk a little Cruitin. Again, we're going to rattle off all the upcoming scheduled commitments, and I guess we probably ought to start with this guy right here, and it's already been spoiled. 4-star wide receiver Travis Smith, 6'3", 200 pounds, out of Atlanta, Georgia, number 81 overall. This is a needle mover. Tennessee, Auburn, Georgia, and Bama. He's eliminated Auburn from that list. Really seems more like Tennessee, Georgia, Bama. You know, I saw a couple of days ago, Benjamin Wolk, Dogs 247 sports writer, put in a crystal ball for Tennessee to land Travis Smith. And I was like, okay. Started getting a little excited. But Coach Jay, we got the spoiler alert. The Fong bomb is in for Travis Smith. What do you think about Travis Smith, his game? Clearly, you're feeling confident at this point.
Yeah, I love it, man. I like this kid's game a lot. You know, he's not the fastest player on the field, but man, he makes up for it with his hands. He makes up for it with his route running. He makes up for it with his football IQ overall. A kid who has no problem blocking. We talk about it a lot. You got to be able to block in Josh Heupel's offense. This kid's got a lot of dog in him. Got a little bit of that Juwan Jennings in him, a little bit of that Brew McCoy in him. He'll absolutely body you up on the outside, and he doesn't know how not to catch the football. Excited about this kid. I think we got one that the coaches really narrowed down. I mean, we told 4-stars in state no for this kid. We told 4-star kids out on the West Coast for this kid no. They got the kid they wanted, and when you talk about evaluations, let's see if they're on with this one, because they certainly honed in on one Travis Smith.
Yeah, So it's such a good point because when you look at wide receiver evaluations, getting Rodarius Jackson in the boat, Joakim Dotson, and then like you said, they passed on Cam Sparks. They told Derek Meadows not to visit. They passed on Marcus Harris, who I think Marcus Harris loved him some Tennessee. I mean, he came out when the weather was bad and the junior day got canceled. He still wanted to take his visit. I think he loved himself some Tennessee. We talked a lot about Jamie French and Caleb Cunningham, but it really seems like this coaching staff made Travis Smith a priority. And my concern was what happens if you miss on Travis Smith? But now here we sit just a few days away from his commitment. You feel like Tennessee's in a good spot. But when you look at this class and you look at the last class, and I know we talked a lot, last year when you were throwing, just you, nobody else was throwing darts at Joe Milton. Like the Joe Milton poster in your house was just gone, just dart after dart after dart.
Demolished.
Some people were saying it's about the wide receivers, right? And the conversation we had was, we're gonna be fine. We don't need wide receivers. It's Josh Heupel's offense. And then Cedric Tillman goes to the NFL. Jalen Hyatt goes to the NFL. And it felt like maybe the wide receivers weren't producing at as high of a level as you would like. But last cycle, Mike Matthews, 5-star, Braylon Staley, both guys ranked inside the top 100. Chris Brazell in the portal, Dante Thornton, even though we just saw a little glimpse of what he could be. You look at those two guys, and now you look at this class of 25, Rodarius Jackson in the top 200, and then also Travis Smith, 78th nationally. You're starting to put some elite dudes. And we're going to talk about the offensive line. We got a room full of quarterbacks. We're starting to get a room full of dudes at wide receiver, and we're starting to put together a pretty dang good offensive line. That's got to excite you about what Josh Heupel's offense can really be.
Really excited. I mean, the offensive line, right? We're in a great spot next year, and I like the way we built there. But just going back to the, wide receivers, you still need talented wide receivers, right? They still got to get themselves open. There's still going to be teams that can deal with Heupel schemes through talent, right? You saw it in the Georgia game; they were able to jam us up a little. The Georgia game, that is, in 22. They were able to get us jammed up at the line. 23 as well. And if you're not strong enough to catch those little four underneaths, to catch those slants when you're wearing a cornerback, when you're wearing a safety, if you can't make that catch when it's a bang bang dig, you're not going to be able to get it done against the elite competition. You always need elite wide receivers who can catch, elite strong wide receivers, and elite fast wide receivers. They're an absolute must. You will only get so far without them. Did we have them last year? I don't know. Open for debate, I guess you could say. Certainly, by the time our core started to kind of turn it on, a lot of people either got hurt or just couldn't put any continuity together, which I kind of felt had to do with the quarterback position. But that's the last dart I'll throw for now, I guess.
For what? Until
for the next 10 seconds.
Yeah. Can you make it that long? We're going to kind of treat this like a live commitment stream because not going to be able to stream on Saturday for Travis Smith's commitment. We will have a video ready to go. Wink, wink. Spoiler alert. Steve Wiltfong, when he put in the Fong bomb, said that Smith took his official visit to Knoxville on June the 21st and has the program among his finalists, including Alabama, Auburn, and Georgia. I view the Tide as the biggest challenger to the Vols, which that's what's interesting to me, is how Alabama's all of a sudden the biggest challenger. It was all about could Tennessee get Travis Smith out of the state of Georgia, similar to Mike Matthews. But then when I started hearing about Alabama, started having more and more confidence that Tennessee was going to land him. Simmons put out an update and said Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee are the schools Travis names as the contenders. Days away from the commitment. Early on, Georgia was considered the favorite team, but as the visits progressed and decisions were made in the summer, things started shifting towards Tennessee. The Vols had the last visit and have some momentum, but Smith may not have made his final decision yet. He says that. Steve Wiltfong put in the crystal ball. I think the decision has been made. But again, we're not going to be able to live stream on Saturday, so we're going to take a look at a little bit of film from Travis Smith. I hope we have the right film, Coach, because this is at 29 seconds. You said 33 seconds. I don't know if we got the right film. You're muted.
Rookie. Anyway, I hope so, man. If not, we're gonna get there anyway. Let's see if the quarterback starts to roll out to the left here, Boogie.
I think he rolls out to the right.
To the right. Oh yeah.
Watch this.
All
Look,
right.
we can do whatever we want to do.
I
Right?
don't need to have the right film. No,
Watch
go
this.
to it.
No,
Go to it. Go to
no.
go to
I've already started. Look. Travis Smith huddle. We can just do this live on it. We're not
I don't
insiders.
care.
We're not
Yeah.
professionals here.
That
We're not
first one.
media.
The very
This is
first
what you
one.
want. Wow,
Yeah,
that's 5.
there we go.
Those were those both the exact same time? Because we checked the time. Let's see
Yeah,
if we
we
get an
did.
ad. Let's see if we get an ad here. I bet we're gonna get an
Of
ad.
course we will.
While we're watching this ad here, you guys can do us a favor and smash the thumbs up, share out the link. We would greatly appreciate that. Let's grow the chat. What do we got in here right now? We got 250 people watching live on YouTube. Can we get that to 300? Let's try to get it to 300. Hit that thumbs up, share out the link. We would greatly appreciate it. Let's take this thing to 33 seconds. Wait a minute. That's the exact same play.
All right. Well, I was running a little late, so I might have flipped them. No, go ahead. Keep it.
All right, you
Keep
want to
it.
watch
Let's
it through
talk
once,
about
then
it.
we'll go back to it.
No, it's the same play. It's the same play. It's just going to be a little fade route to the corner. All right. There you go. And that's what we're talking about. You'll notice he got his body in bounds on that play. Boogie, if you want to go ahead and run that back, it's just a little fade corner route. And let's talk about how I believe we're recruiting Mr. Smith. And I saw someone in the chat nail it perfectly. Cedric Tillman is a very, very apt comparison. I really think they want to throw it to him in the corner of the end zone, corner fades, slants in tight spaces, digs, comeback routes. The comeback routes that you see on the edge, Tennessee ran. We ran a lot in the bowl game versus Iowa. Milton overthrew a lot of them. It was problematic at times and kept us from. Sorry, did I do it again?
You made it 45
drives.
seconds.
But right here, we see it. We see Travis tracking down this ball. This is supposed to be a fade to the corner of the end zone. Obviously, it's a misthrown ball in front of him. You can either throw that fade continuous or the back shoulder. Quarterback kind of splits the difference, which is what makes me think he's missed. And right here, we see the ball is not in his hand, and we have contact from the safety, right? So you have pass interference in essence right here. This is not a wide receiver that you can hit. Oh, that it was Nelson. Perfect. This is not a wide receiver that you can hit, and he's going to be phased by. Go back and watch this film. It is absolutely littered with these moments where he is hit early on his jump, gets pushed, still manages to get a body in. This is a kid you can line up inside the 20-yard line, throw the fade to, and he's going to come up with the ball 100% of the time because he's bigger, faster, and stronger. The one thing I like about him compared to Cedric Tillman is he can block on that Brew McCoy level, on that Jawan Jennings level. And I think when Heupels sees those edge guys who can control those possession wide receivers, big possession wide receivers who can block, his eyes get huge, man. Because he's always going to have that Squirrel White in the slot, that Jalen Hyatt in the slot, the Mike Matthews, the Braylon Staley in the slot. He's going to have those burners, but he needs yardage, control, and blocking on the edge in his scheme. And I think he's found a humdinger in Travis Smith Jr.
His scouting report from 247 Sports talk about his ability to separate late. And it says he struggles to separate early in routes. And I think that's a Cedric Tillman thing. Again, Nelson claiming that he's the guy that made that comparison. Everybody's making that comparison. I guess we should start quoting Nelson that he made that comparison. I'm just kidding. I love Nelson. But that's why they're making that comparison. Tillman didn't have elite speed either. And Tillman, just his ability to create space on those 50-50 balls, or you're talking about throwing it up to the corner of the end zone, letting the guy go make a play. Like, how much is that? Look, you can't teach speed. Like, you give me Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, let them go beat guys with speed. I love it. Sign me up for that. But do we sometimes maybe put too much of a priority on speed versus a guy that can create that separation late and then go up and make a play?
It's huge, but speed is huge, and it can never be discounted on a football field. You can't teach it. All the things you hear about speed and quickness. I'll always bring it up on this channel. You've heard it from me before. You can be fast and you can be quick. They're two different things, right? On a football field, the kids that are really dangerous are someone who's fast and quick. Think Alvin Kamara is fast and quick. Think Reggie Bush is fast and quick. Jalen Hyatt is more on the fast side. Not that he's not quick. He's got some quickness to him, but he doesn't have that elite quickness. He's just freaking fast. But look at Jalen Hyatt. He's a great example. Jalen Hyatt didn't bust out at first, right? He didn't bust out till he was given the tools at route running. Play design helped, but route running, when he learned to run those elite routes, is when he got really dangerous. And Heupel's team is great at giving you those tools, and it's what makes Travis Smith so dangerous, and it's why he breaks open late. Is his route running is beautiful. He runs absolutely pristine, perfect routes, and those will always get you open, right? That's why guys like Wes Welker were so good at the NFL, right? Because they could run a route, just as beautiful as anybody out there. Travis Smith is going to get open at no matter what level he works at, just like Brew McCoy, because his route running is on point, and he is where he's supposed to be. He reads the defense properly and runs the correct route. Not to break your heart, Timothy, when you come across this video, but they run the correct option routes. That hurt us some last year. We had a lot of incorrect option routes being ran, and a lot of that has to do with the quarterback not reading the route tree correctly.
Should we put out a shirt that has a dartboard with a 7 on it? I'm just saying.
No, and I like Joe. Dang it, I like Joe. I should stop. All right.
Again, I think the best thing that we can say about Joe is what we said earlier. Your miss is an NFL draft pick.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Butch Jones, if his miss was an NFL draft pick? I think we would be pretty happy. All right, let's take a look at a couple more plays here. 429.
Yeah, we're kind of not going to get that corner fade. We're going to get a quick seam this time out of Travis Smith. And once again, guys, I'm going to show it to you a couple times because body control is important. I wanted to talk about 4 things really. Body control being the main one, blocking being one. I'm not going to show you any. Go back and watch this film. You'll have to take my word. He's an absolute beast. Blocking, catching, and then his route running, which we'll get to last. But Boogie, he's going to toss this ball up. They'll give you a nice freeze point on it so you can play the dang thing. But just watch again, guys. The hands, the body control are elite on Travis Smith Jr. You got the safety coming over, and throw's not bad right there. High point to the left of the face mask. It's got a safety wearing him. Came over top a little bit late. He's gonna get actually carried out of bounds. If you were perfect stop point right there, Boogie. You see the safety pull him out of bounds, and I don't know if anyone's ever tried to pull you anywhere when you're off your feet, when you're in midair. But to be able to sit your body down in midair takes a lot of strength in your hips. Talk about sinking our hips in midair on the sideline. Man, he does that extremely well right here. Look at see him just sit down and sink those hips and then squat 2 feet down. Man, I'll tell you what, that makes any wide receiver coach happy. I'll tell you what, Coach Rice is watching this film with a big old smile on his face. I know when he teaches those corner routes, those seam routes on the sideline, and you get caught in the air, they teach you sit down, sink your hips, stick your feet and toes out. Man, that's just textbook right there. It looks like he's sitting in a chair right there. Freakish, and the wherewithal to be able to do that in game is scary.
I'm just curious who you think watches this channel. As you ask us, has anybody ever grabbed your hips and tried to pull you in a direction while you're in midair? I mean, the last time I was at McDonald's and I ordered a Big Mac and a large Coke, I actually got a Diet Coke, the Big Mac, large fry, Diet Coke, that type of order. And they were out of lids and I was trying to jump up on top. And this dude came behind me and he's like, "No, sir." Who do you think's listening to this? Who do you think listens to this show?
I mean, some of the athletes listen. We could
Nelson.
have it. Listen, the next great Tennessee volunteer wide receiver could be lurking in the background on this channel right now. The next Jalen Hyatt could be in the background, hanging out with Michelle, lurking in the background right now.
She's not even said a word in the chat, but she's watching. Let's take a look at one last play here. Oh my goodness.
Another one, and I want to talk about this play. I like it a lot. We see trips to the top of the screen. We see trips to the top of the screen, and Travis is going to be playing the slot here, the true slot, the Y slot. not the S slot here. So the closest man inside on the trips at the top of the screen, and he's going to come in motion on this play and run a bit of a play on a wheeled route. Boogie, stop it when he gets to the line of scrimmage after they hike the ball. Now, to those keen and who watched a lot of these breakdowns, you'll notice a couple things happen. Number one, they bumped over. A man didn't follow him over. So that tells us something as a young wide receiver. It tells us that this offense is in zone and not man, right? So it means he can exploit the gaps of this zone. So he's going to run this wheel route, and he's going to fake stemming the post route to the center of the field, and he's going to run a beautiful drag hezzy. And when I say hezzy, it means hesitation. A drag hezzy to that post, right? But instead of drag hezzying to the post, he's going to run a comeback route off of it. This is the stuff Josh Heupel loves to do. And when you sell it and make it look right, it's a first down every single time. And this kid in this play does this at an SEC level. Let's go ahead and take a look at him run this. And he splits that zone perfectly. He's going to run that drag hezzy, pops it, rounds it off, catches the ball. Just nice, man. Just nice. Takes 3 guys to bring him down. Like I said, this kid's
that looked like Juwan Jennings. That stiff arm,
yeah,
and getting those couple of extra yards looked like Juwan Jennings.
Yeah. And this kid's got plays, like I said, littered with that. Watch some of his blocking plays. There is a play at the beginning of this film where he's blocking on the outside, and he basically picks the kid up, puts a diaper on him, and puts him back down. Man, it's beautiful. I like this kid, big, strong kid. When he gets in a college weight room, he's going to be an absolute menace on the football field. I love the footwork. I love his hesitations. Watch his whole film. He runs post, slants, drags, stop hezzy, pop hezzy, drag hezzy, every hezzy in the freaking hezzy book. This kid's got that tool in his toolbox. Over the moon excited about Travis Smith. I think the Vols got the wide receivers they wanted to get and are trusting their evaluations. I'm still going to go out on a limb and say once Nico hits the field this year and starts putting up some video game numbers, we might get some interest from someone that perks Tennessee's interest to allow him the class. We'll see how that goes, but let's keep an eye on it. Tennessee's had some late developers the past few years in the class, and I think we'll get one this year on the offensive side.
I think we're in such a weird spot, right? Because it's like you saw all the success of Hendon Hooker, and then last year was Joe, and it felt like we took a huge step back, and Tennessee still won 9 games. Like, imagine winning 9 games as a step back. Imagine missing on your quarterback as an NFL draft pick. So I think this year on-field success is going to be so important. I know I've said that a lot, but I'm going to continue to say it. All right, let's move ahead. That is 4-star wide receiver Travis Smith coming off the board on Saturday, so be dialed in, tuned in for that. But then the next one coming up next Saturday, July the 20th, 4-star linebacker Christian Gaston is coming off the board. You can see there on the screen, USC, Georgia, and Tennessee are at the top, but it's really, again, a Tennessee-Georgia battle. And, like, you know, these are big boy battles. And people like Retro can sit in the chat and say, well, we didn't want Travis Smith. Really? You didn't want a top 100 player? You didn't want him? You were just ready to pass on him? Tennessee is in some big-time battles, and Georgia's in a lot of them, man. It's Tennessee, Georgia for Smith. It's Tennessee, Georgia for Christian Gaston. It's Tennessee, Georgia's in the mix for Shady Hayward. It's Georgia in the mix for Juan Gaston. This is how you know that Tennessee is back. You got to start winning some of these big-time battles against the Georgias and the Alabamas and the Ohio States. Chad Simmons on June the 26th or 22nd, said Tennessee is in a good spot with gas. VolQuest, their latest update, said it was Georgia and Tennessee. Said Tennessee had the momentum coming out of June, still in a good position heading into the decision. Georgia wants Christian Gaston. Don't let these Georgia fans say he's not a take and all this nonsense. They want him, and they are pushing hard to get him. He took his official visits to the final 3 that we see there, USC, Georgia, and Tennessee. Also visited Florida and Kentucky, but Tennessee got that last visit, and it sounds like they hit a home run. Like reading the quotes from Christian Gaston, he liked that he got to go more in-depth. He got to talk a little academics. He got to talk defensive scheme. He got to be around the coaches more. I don't know how much tape, Coach Jay. I love when I get to put you on the spot. I sit here for 3 hours before a live stream, typing out notes, and you just come on and fly blind. But they originally were recruiting him to play edge. He could play inside linebacker, or he could possibly end up as an edge rusher. I don't know how much tape you've watched. What do you like about Christian Gaston, and where do you think he ultimately ends up?
Man, I hope he keeps his frame because I prefer him at the outside linebacker position. Kid with a lot of speed who I believe can cover and help against the run. Because look, what you really are looking for in today's football game is a hybrid kid, right? Who can play in coverage, who can come off the edge, who can come down, help against the run, play in goal line, play stout. But a kid who can drop back into coverage too. We saw how much certain linebacker hurt us in coverage this past year and looked lost at times and couldn't get physical in the pass defense game. Christian Gaston can do all these things, and yeah, you bring up commit list, like it's no big news out there that those three teams that you just flashed across that board are blue bloods in college football, right? USC, I don't know what, 8 Heismans or whatever it is. Tennessee, Georgia, obviously, big time programs. Georgia's been on top of the world right now. Tennessee doing great things, coming back to life, becoming that power T that we knew it as. But yeah, man, I'm excited. Both those schools would love to have this kid. I think Tennessee is in the driver's seat right now for Christian Gaston. I'm extremely excited about that. Kid can really pick him up and put him down. Is it just me on here? Did Boogie get kicked out? I think Boogie just got kicked out, and it's just me on here. That's hilarious. All right, chat. What do you want to talk about? Throw it down in the chat. What kind of smack do you want to talk about Boogie? Why he's gone? All right. So welcome to Talkin Trojans. Dylan, don't do that. Christian Gaston did not like the yacht trip. He was not a fan of boats. He saw a shark. It almost got him on the way out to Catalina Island, right? So why he was on his way out to Catalina Island, Coach Jay saved him. He threw in a life preserver. He wheeled him in. He was like, hey, Christian Gaston, you don't want to go to USC, man. It's too hot out here. You don't want to go to Georgia. No one likes Georgia fans. We put up with Retro and we put up with James, but we don't like Georgia fans for the most part. So you want to come to Tennessee.
I don't believe there are good people that pull for Georgia. I think they're all terrible, ugly, disgusting human beings. I think it's just that no, there are no good Georgia fans, Eric. There are none. What the hell are you doing, Coach Jet? Like now my camera's all jacked up. It's
Did
all
I kick
messed
you out?
up.
I kicked you out.
Now I gotta zoom it in on my face and
There
move
you
it
go.
around. Whoa!
Extreme close up. Speaking of Wayne's World, I kind of felt like, have you guys seen Wayne's World when Wayne gets fired and it's just Garth on there and he's
Is that
like,
what just happened?
no, I was
You know what's
talking about how Christian Gaston didn't like the yacht trip, and I was able to save his life and bring him on, and tell him there were no good Georgia fans. But
you know what's so funny is because when I started having all these issues with the computer, I would tell you and Coach Rice every time before we go live, hey, I may get kicked off if I do this, do that. I didn't say a word this time. We just rolled right in like everything was going to be perfectly fine, and then we die. But that's all right. We're not experts or insiders here. I lost all my notes. I'll get those pulled back up. But one thing I wanted to talk about, look, we were tying a bow on Christian Gaston. I'm assuming you were very professional. You didn't say anything. You didn't say anything like, let's talk bad about Boogie. I would imagine you didn't say that.
no.
Let's talk about linebacker recruiting because, again, Jaden Lofton is on flip watch, right? And Christian Gaston, I think Tennessee is the leader. We'll see what happens. Like just because we feel like Tennessee's in a good spot, it doesn't mean that's a guaranteed commitment. We will see what happens there. But you look at, the recruiting lately. Arian Carter in the boat. Edwin Spillman shows up on campus, looks like a legitimate SEC linebacker. As the dude's been on campus for like a matter of days going into the spring game, and me and Nelson were down there, and I look over at Nelson, I'm like, the dude looks like an SEC linebacker. He goes, Boogie, he's been here like 4 days. I'm like, no, he looks the part. Edwin Spillman, Arian Carter, Jeremiah T-Lander. We talk about what Rodney Garner's done. We talk about the quarterback recruiting. We talk about wide receiver recruiting. I think the linebacker room is filling up with some talent.
Yeah, I love our linebacker room, man. You all know how high I am on Arian Carter, Jeremiah T-Lander. I like our last haul, man. I like just throughout the whole class, it's looking super solid. You want to get some of that senior leadership out of Peely. I think he will help stabilize that room this year a bit. So you hope you can get that full season out of him. But I think these young linebackers are going to really take the ball and run with it as the season goes along. And we can really start building huge depth in that linebacker room. Spillman, as you know, that kid is an absolute dude. I'll tell you what, if anyone's been lucky enough to to be on a football field with him, that kid is a dude and will be just fine. I'll tell you what, I fully expect in the next football season, you're going to see Spillman and Arian Carter on the field together, and that's going to be a scary proposition for other teams. And oh yeah, when they take a rest, you're going to get T-Lander coming off the edge to absolutely DDT somebody coming from that corner swipe. But yeah, man, I think this linebacker coach Inge is done a great job so far. I mean, I know it's really early, and the grass of the Southeastern Conference will tell how well of a job he's doing with coaching those kids up in that room. But he's got all the talent in the world. He's got all the tools to play with. So let's just keep on building that talent. And I like Perlotti. I like Gas. I'll tell you what, Gas has got that football neck, man. I don't know if you saw in that picture. He's got that linebacker neck, man. I love it. I used to have a neck like that.
I was going to say, what you played linebacker.
In, yeah.
Okay, let's look at it. Hold on.
Tucked into my Douglas neck roll from the 90s.
Let's look at the two of us. You played linebacker. I played 1 year of football. Guess what position I played? What position did I play?
Right guard. No, I'm just fucking.
That's what everybody's gonna say. Everybody's gonna say right guard, like offensive line,
I'm just
center, defensive tackle. You had the
wide receiver. I'm gonna go the opposite direction.
I played corner.
I was right. I was almost right. I was like, I'm gonna go in the opposite direction.
See, that's why I quit football, because I was a runt. I was a runt during Pee Wee, and I just got killed. And I was like, nope, I'm gonna keep playing baseball. Y'all keep running into each other like Neanderthals. I'm gonna go play a wise man's game.
I was one of those kids who was this size, and I'm like 6 foot, like 210 or whatever, right? But I was this size in like 8th grade. You know what I mean? So it's like I was just kind of like all I could do was get stronger in the weight room.
I mean, the people saying bench aren't wrong either. like that's accurate too. That's accurate too. It's just the reality, man. Hey, Deuce becomes a member of the channel. Shout out, Deuce. You guys want to be a member. You guys want to support this circus act that we got going on. Hit that join button. We would greatly appreciate it. Michelle, we knew she was here. Drops a 20 spot. That's the Orange Boy. Let's play the clip.
Rocky Top!
We also got to update the leaderboard. Michelle taking that top donation of the night. We appreciate it. Michelle drops a 20 spot. She says, love you guys. Always entertaining. Was it entertaining because I got kicked off and Coach Jay had to run the show? They're like, oh, this is the best show we've ever had. Shout out, Michelle. We appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the support. The tip jar. The tip jar is open. We would greatly appreciate it. All right, let's continue to roll through this thing. So on Saturday, Travis Smith, 4-star wide receiver, a top 100 prospect, is coming off the board. On the 20th, Christian Gass, 4-star linebacker, is coming off the board. The following Saturday, July the 27th, this man is coming off. Actually, you know what? I want to do it this way. This man is coming off the board.
Like, it's kind of a tie.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because when you hit somebody, like the feeling of knowing you hit them in front of their family and then you just lay them out, you just be like, oh, yeah.
It never gets old. Never gets old.
Never.
4-star safety Shady Hayward coming off the board, 6'1", 196 out of the state of Georgia. You guys already know the deal. 865 Live, I'm here to help Tennessee recruit. That's it. I'm here to help Tennessee recruit. Then it was Georgia. Then it was USC. Then it was Florida, USC, South Carolina. Then he finally comes back home on June the 21st to take his official to Knoxville. Do you think he was generating buzz? Like Austin Price has kind of said, he felt like his recruitment was getting stale. What do you think? You think he was creating a little buzz around his recruitment?
Yeah, hey, there's nothing wrong with a little buzz, right? Like everyone wants to feel good about the recruitment. Look, man, Shady's awesome, man. I love the way he plays football. I love the way he plays with his mind. He sets traps. He's devious on the football field. I just love that about him, man. I think this kid's a Vol, though. Dang, I hope he's a Vol. I've mentioned it on this channel before. He's committing on my wedding anniversary, so I told Miss Shay that I want her to get me a Shady Hayward commit, and that's what she got to get me. So
hold on a second.
Book it. Book it.
Are you going to spend your anniversary with me? Or am I going to have to get Coach Rice to do a little work? I'm going to have to get Coach Rice to do a little work around here, aren't I?
Maybe.
There's no way Mrs. Coach Jay is letting you talk Shady Hayward on your anniversary. That's fine. If Coach Rice can't do it, guess what? I can fly solo. Maybe I can put up the bat signal to JP. We're covering Shady Hayward's commitment live.
We'll see where I am. We haven't set what exactly we're doing on that day, so we'll see where I am. I might have to be good. Got in a little hot water yesterday. You know those little like pop-it fireworks that you like throw and they pop on the ground?
Like snap rocks?
Yeah, I hit Miss J
with
one of those. Yeah, I hit Miss J in the foot with one of those, thinking she'd think it was funny.
Didn't think it was funny.
No, not so much. She thought it was funny when she tracked me down and beat me like a redhead stepchild after, but that was about it.
Is that why she's not in the chat tonight? She's pissed at you?
Yeah, she's like, that's Coach J. Schmay.
DJ Haney in the chat said that his On3 ranking go up or down. Shady Hayward went up. He's 100 on the On3 industry rankings, but you can see On3 he went up to 75th. Look, I've been talking to Shady Hayward. Talked to him a little bit after his visit to Tennessee. Talked to him a couple of weeks ago. Sent him a message today. Shady wants to come back on the channel, boys. No, that's no surprise, no spoiler alert. He said, Boogie, I want to come back on the channel before my commitment. And I said, does that mean he's committing somewhere else? So he wants to come on before? I don't know. I don't. People think that I know what Shady Hayward is going to do. I have no idea. He has not told me where he's committing. I tell him every time we speak, we need you on Rocky Top. We need an Eric Berry type safety. And I think that Shady Hayward can be that type of guy. I love his versatility. There's a lot of buzz about him being physical and coming down to play linebacker. He's a guy that he chooses violence, and I love it. I love what he brings to the table. I love his personality. I love his attitude. I love his confidence. There's a difference between confidence and cockiness. He's got that confidence, and I love it, man, and I am here for it. He's a character. He's a personality. He's so fun to talk to. His decision is coming on Coach Jay's anniversary, July the 27th. We will cover it right here live on the Talkin VAWLS Network. According to Shady, Tennessee, South Carolina, and the Gators are the main three. Austin Price continues to say that Georgia is your biggest threat. Chad Timmons' most recent update said his recruitment has been fluid, but Tennessee was the front runner for months. Florida and South Carolina are the top competition. So Chad Timmons says Florida, South Carolina. AP says Georgia. Shady says South Carolina and the Gators. Again, that decision is coming on the 27th. Man, how are you feeling? How you feeling? Go ahead.
I really want this kid. Like I said, he can really, really play. I didn't see that Georgia picked up Jalen Morgan from the state of Tennessee. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Shout out to Pavel in the chat for bringing that up there.
What's interesting is a lot of people have asked me why is Tennessee not pursuing, and they chose not to go that route. Is it because they're pushing again? It's why when you come on this channel and then I regurgitate it and then everybody regurgitates it and you talk about how important evaluations are, is that a true evaluation? Like, look, you're passing on an in-state kid to put all your chips on Shady Hayward. You're passing on an in-state kid, Cam Sparks, to put all your chips in on a Travis Smith. Your evaluations better be right. Because if you're getting the guy you want, that's when evaluations really matter, right? Like, it's one thing to talk about recruiting oh, we lost him, Georgia got him, Alabama got him, whoever got him. But when you evaluate and you take Shady Hayward as your priority, and then you let the in-state kid go to Georgia, your evaluation better be on point.
Heck yeah, it better be on point. But look, this staff from day one has done that, right? They didn't pick up the phone and even call Arch,
Yeah,
to my knowledge, right?
No, never.
That's just blow your mind, man. That you didn't even pick up the phone and call Arch. That means you knew who you wanted, is what that translates into as a coach. That means you looked at the quarterbacks out there and you said, Nico is a generational talent. We're going to go out there. We're going to do whatever it takes to get him, and then we're going to get him. This coaching staff has not been shy, and they've trusted their evaluations. And hey, I want them to. I don't want them chasing stars. I don't want them saying, hey, look, this kid has a 4-star and he's in-state kid. Let's go pick him up because he's a legacy Vol, because he's a this, because he's a that. No, let's pick him up because we evaluated him. We really think he can play football. And that's who we want on our team, is a bunch of football players. We don't want a bunch of kids who we think might be all right, or just because they grew up in Tennessee can come here, or just because their last name is X, Y, and Z. No, I don't care. I want the kids who can fit in this system, who can play football the way we want them to play it. And that's who we're going to ride and die with. That's who we're going to evaluate. That's who we're going to coach up. And that's who we're going to go out there and play the dang game with. And I respect the heck out of that, out of this coaching staff.
The balls to say your last name is Manning, but my guy's Nico. Like that.
Yeah.
When you've been here, what, a year? You've been here a year? And that's what you did? I love it. I love it. And I love it. And I think he made the right choice. I think he made the right decision. So we're about halfway through the list, maybe a little bit more than halfway through the list. So how you feeling? I'm going to throw it to you. You say Vol or not a Vol. Travis Smith.
Vol.
Christian Gass.
Vol.
Shady Hayward.
Vol.
Those are the 3 commitments coming up on the next 3 Saturdays. Again, Jaden Perlotti on Flip Watch. Vol, not a Vol.
I'm going to go Vol with Jalen. Sorry.
Onus Conanbanny. No date set.
I'm going to go Vol again, and we're on a hot streak. So
that's five guys right there that I agree. I would say that Christian Gass, I'm a little iffy on. Travis Smith's a Vol. Shady Hayward, I'm going Vol. Jaden Perlotti, Onus Conanbanny. I think and I hope that Christian Gass is a Vol. Let's move on. We talked about Travis Smith. He's got a teammate down there in the state of Georgia that's scheduled to come off the board on August the 2nd. Juan Gaston. It's Oregon, it's Tennessee, it's South Carolina, and it is the Georgia Bulldogs. And I've talked to Nelson a lot. Like I talk to Nelson every day, let's be honest. When's Nelson going to be Nelson, when are you going to be on the show?
Yeah, no.
You know how great? Do you know how great Nelson would be on these recruiting shows? Boogie, Nelson, and the coaches.
Awesome.
We'll start the shirt over. We'll reprint the shirt. We'll change the design. Boogie, Nelson, and the coaches. If you want it to be Nelson, Boogie, and the coaches, we'll make you the premier guy. He's probably not even in the chat anymore. Like, he would be so good. He is so dialed into recruiting, and we've been talking a lot about the offensive line. And what I told him was Douglas Utu and Juan Gaston were 2 guys that I was kind of like, they're not coming to Tennessee. Like, maybe they could be the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. But here we sit with Juan Gaston scheduled to come off the board on August the 2nd. I think Tennessee has a very realistic shot. Again, Tennessee, Oregon, South Carolina, Georgia. How do you feel about Juan Gaston?
I'll tell you what, if you asked me a month and a half ago, I would have said 2% chance, 5% chance, complete long shot. The deeper we get into this thing, I mean, I'm not going to go crazy. I think we're at about 40% now. But I tell you what, it's a lot better than 2%. And, you know, the thing about Gaston is he's just one of those kids. He's not a talker, right? He keeps his cards pretty close to his vest. And he's kind of quiet. You know, kind of reminds you of Utu in that way. You know, we didn't hear too much about Douglas Utu, and then all of a sudden he committed. It makes you wonder, does kind of that quieter culture kind of pull him in, you know? I'm liking our odds more and more. I still think I like Georgia and Oregon's odds a little bit better. but we've made up a lot of ground, and I don't think it's completely crazy like I once did.
But don't you think it's like it's icing on the cake? Like when you
Oh
look at
yeah,
the offensive
if
line,
you
the
get
fact
David,
that
yeah,
you got Utu, yes, David's the centerpiece of that. If you land David Sanders, Juan Gaston, or even Josh Petty, like Josh Petty's the guy that AP continues to say Tennessee has a shot at. Is it likely?
yeah,
I don't think so, but I didn't think Douglas Utu was likely either. But here Tennessee sits right in the mix for Gaston. VolQuest, their latest update, said Tennessee's the biggest threat to get him out of Georgia. Mentioned the fact that he took his visit to Georgia early in the month, but he didn't pull the trigger. Like, I think if he's a Georgia lock, he commits on that visit. Didn't do it. And then again, you talk about him playing his cards close to the vest, dodging Georgia reporters, dodging, the insiders that want updates. He's not talking to them. And then it says, followed it up by talking about how Juan and his family have built strong relationships in Knoxville. The Vols have an opportunity to swing the momentum on the official. We had a great official. Matt Ray said most we talked to still think it's Georgia. It's just a bit interesting that he has dodged the media. So we'll see what happens. But again, for me, you get David Sanders, you got Douglas Utu, you got Nick Moore, you got Anthony Agamora, you got Lance Hurd in the portal. I think the offensive line is back, on the way back. You get David Sanders, they're back.
yeah. David Sanders is certainly the icing on the cake with all the other linemen in the boat. He's the crown jewel, man. If you get David Sanders and Juan Gaston, it's almost an embarrassment of riches at that point. And with those offensive linemen, if you're able, even if you just pull in Sanders, you talk about Faison, you talk about George McIntyre, you talk about Merklinger. We mentioned it the other day on here, Boogie. You don't, if we get Faison, we don't have to hit on George. We don't have to hit on Merck. We don't have to hit on Faison. We just have to hit one of them, right? We only got to be right one time. And I'll tell you what, I like all three of those bullets in the chamber that we could be right on. So buckle up, Volunteer fans, because some really, really interesting things cooking up on Rocky Top right now. That's for sure.
Evan Counts for 2 says, Hype, we're going to use you as a Cruitin tool soon, Boog. I mean, allegedly, I may have got
no trouble anymore.
Wait, can we say that?
I don't know.
I started it.
We're in timeout. Okay, we're in timeout. That's what we'll say. We're in timeout.
We got to mind our P's and Q's.
We got put in timeout.
Look, nobody wants Tennessee to succeed more than we do. Let's just say that. And we're changing some things. We're making some changes. We how dare you, Coach Jay? This is not supposed to be happening.
Moving on.
Yes, that's a good segue.
Moving on.
That's a good segue. Oh man. All right, you mentioned Faison Brandon. That's the next one. That's the next one coming off the board. Right after Juan Gaston, the very next day, we're gonna do Talkin VAWLS live commitments back to back. Friday night, Saturday night, Juan Gaston, Faison Brandon coming off the board, August the 3rd, Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, and NC State.
He's probably going to the Wolfpack. They're a force to be reckoned with.
Spoiler alert, that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard, Coach Jay. I've heard some people think that NC State's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Force to be reckoned with.
One thing I like about this, right? He took that visit to Alabama, then the news breaks that he's going to make his decision. I'm like, uh-oh. I don't like that. No. But he's going to take an unofficial he's coming back to Knoxville on July the 27th, leading into the decision. But something else that I've seen a lot of people are like, oh, why are you talking about this? It's way too early. It's the class of 26. It's huge, man. 247 Sports. Let me switch over to his profile. 247 Sports. He is the number one player. I'll start to say I don't have it. I do have it. There it is. 247 Sports has him the number one player across the board. Number one player, number one quarterback, number one player out of the state of North Carolina. By the way, yeah, NC State, he's from the same hometown as Hendon Hooker. So somebody's been recruiting him for quite some time. But the number one player in the class of 26 wants to commit this early. Coach Jay, that's huge because you've got him for the full cycle. You got a peer recruiter that's the #1 player in the country that's telling everybody to come to Tennessee. Meanwhile, they're going to be watching Nico dominate on the field.
Yeah,
Sign me up.
You just took the words right out of my mouth, man. All that time he gets in the boat on the 3rd. Let's just say he does, not to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but say he does recruit, and let's say Nico is what we think he is, man, and he goes out there, puts up big numbers. Let's say he comes up a game short. Let's say he loses 3 games, but puts up video game numbers all year, and the offense goes bananas, and it's back to Heupel ball. All of a sudden, you've got all this momentum with the Tennessee program, and everyone goes, "Oh man, that offense is out of control." Oh yeah, they've got 4-star Jake Merklinger. Oh yeah, they have George McIntyre. Oh yeah, they have the #1 overall quarterback in my class. That's where I want to go play football. And if we end up with some of these offensive linemen we're talking about, David Sanders also in the boat, Utu in the boat. God forbid we get someone like a Juan Gaston on top of that. I know where I want to go play wide receiver. I know where I want to go play running back. Man, powerful stuff.
He had a couple of quotes that I loved, and I've been sitting on these because you were talking, you've kind of hinted towards this, and I love it. But one of the quotes that he said, Coach Heupel runs a very quarterback-friendly offense. He's been recruiting me very heavily for a long time. He goes on to say they were one of the first SEC schools to build a very good relationship with me, and they've been doing it for a long time. That's been a big thing they have in their favor, and it's something other colleges did not do. We had Anthony Aguimoro on the show, and we were talking about recruiting, and he kept saying how Heupel was authentic, genuine. Like, he's a different dude. He cares about you, cares about me as a person. He calls me up and asks how my day is, asks what I had for lunch, asks how the family is. And I just got the wild hair to say, do other coaches not do that? And he said, no. They call and they say, who have you talked to today? Did you talk to Tennessee? Did you talk to Georgia? Did you talk to whoever? I think that authenticity of Josh Heupel is paying dividends. And to hear the #1 player in the class of 26 say it, we can get on here and talk culture and preach culture, but when you see it in action, it's different, man. It's different.
It's a lot different. It's man, go back and watch that interview for those of you who missed it, man. It's powerful stuff. It makes you super proud that that's who our head coach is, man. Super proud that that's who our head coach is. And you can't fake genuine like that, right? Like you just can't do it. You can be genuine, and people come to campus and they see that, and they see that you're a high fire guy, that you care a lot about the kids. But when you go those extra little miles, when you do those little things, man, people pick up on that. It's hard to BS teenagers, believe it or not. They know when they're getting a sales pitch, and they know when someone really cares about them. Josh Heupel is certainly someone who cares. This recruiting staff has kind of taken up that mantra with the stories that we've heard. And I'll tell you what, man, Tennessee's going to get their fair share of kids because of the way Heupel treats his recruits, the way he treats their family, and the way he cares about them as people. So that's awesome, man. That's big time.
One last quote that I love from Faison Brandon that, again, we buried the lead on. We already talked about it. He says, Coach Halsley has shown me how they develop their quarterbacks, but not just one type of quarterback. He says quarterbacks with different styles. Him showing me that he worked with different quarterbacks, like a runner, a pocket passer, a dual threat guy, shows me that he knows what he's doing with developing quarterbacks. And when we get on here and throw darts at the dartboard with Joe Milton, again, the end result is an NFL draft pick. If your missed evaluation is an NFL draft pick, and then your Hendon Hooker should have been a Heisman Trophy finalist, like, I think you're building a body of work here, but I think Nico's going to tell the story. Nico is going to tell the story for Josh Heupel at the University of Tennessee. If Nico goes out and he is who we think he is, then we're off to the races. And we're already seeing it. Like, and again, going back to the George McIntyre stuff and his rankings dropping, and I don't care. Who do you think knows more about evaluating quarterbacks? Josh Heupel, a national championship quarterback, a Heisman Trophy runner-up, had a cup of coffee in the NFL, or Charles Power, a dork sitting in an office? Like, and I'm not trying to take shots. If we're gonna throw darts at Joe Milton, I'm gonna throw darts at Charles Power. Go look at his profile picture. I'm gonna throw darts at Charles Power. Who do you think knows more about playing quarterback in the SEC? I'll wait for those responses. All right. That's Faison Brandon, again, scheduled to come off the board August the 3rd, the day after Juan Gaston. It's time for the main event of the evening. The guy that is going to define this class of 2025. That is 5-star offensive tackle David Sanders, coming off the board on August the 17th. My anniversary is on the 11th. Guess what, Coach Jay? If David Sanders was committing on the 11th, where do you think I would be?
You would be there.
I'd be right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. I don't need you to get divorced for me, though. So you take care of Mrs. Coach Jay. David Sanders coming off the board. Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, and Nebraska. Everybody says Nebraska. Nebraska? Yeah. No.
Is he going to pick Nebraska?
It's Tennessee, and it's Ohio State. And I love this from Austin Price on Monday night in the Monday night chat. He said Tennessee feels good. Ohio State feels good. Wilt Fong was leaning Tennessee. Now he's leaning Ohio State. Sit back and wait for the crystal ball, and then we'll see how Steve Wiltfong really feels. How are you feeling about David Sanders? I talk about recruiting all day, every day on this channel. How you feeling? Look, we're over a month away. We're 5 weeks away, but this is let's start with this, and then tell me how you feel about the commitment. How is your opinion of the class of 25 going to change, whether we land Sanders or we don't?
I like this class where it's at now. I think by the time David commits, we'll have a lot better picture of that class. If we get all those kids, I was just talking about it. I think I would feel really good about it either way, especially if we go 5 for 5. But I think there's a difference between having a great class and having an elite class. And I think David is that difference. I just do. So do I think Tennessee can have a really, really, really good, great, top-tier class? Sure. Yes. Without him. Do I think it can be elite without David? I don't know. I don't think so. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. How do I feel about the commitment? I like where Tennessee's at. This commitment could come right down to the last minute, man. I know it left a little bit sour taste in people's mouth, the way the Brame recruitment went down. But I think this is going to be one of those commitments like that, where he's getting phone calls, where people are sweetening the pot right up to the trigger point of this commitment. They're going to be getting that call from Ohio State. He's going to be getting that call from Tennessee. He's going to be hearing that last minute hard ABC always be closing pitch from all these coaching staffs, man. They're going to be really, really hammering it home to him, not only on team, opportunity, program, development, and NIL. I think they're all going to be hammered home to him at the end of this thing. We're talking about the number 2 overall player in the class. I think is the worst I've seen him. Right, sitting about number 2 everywhere. So we're talking a big time player that's going to command fair market value, and that market value is going to get driven up at the end. And we'll see what kind of relationships can win out on top of that market value.
Dealing with that's a great comment. Francis Mauigoa, Seton, Sanders has to be the one. And sometimes we as fans speculate, right? And that's a beautiful thing. It's fun to come on and have I shouldn't say uneducated opinion, but maybe you don't really know the story and you want to say Francis Mauigoa took money. Sometimes we know that Francis Mauigoa took allegedly $5 million. Allegedly $5 million. I don't have that on a good authority. Wink, wink. I've heard allegedly that he took $5 million. Is it worth it to spend that money on Francis Mauigoa when you had 3 other tackles in that cycle with Lucas Simmons, Shamrod Umarov, and Stanton Ramel, right? And you were trying to take that $5 million, maybe turn it into 2 offensive tackles. Allegedly, wink, wink. Allegedly, that's what you were trying to do. You're trying to balance out your NIL money. Seton, that was a wild card. I don't think anybody saw that coming. You think Seton was all about money? I don't know that it was all about money. I don't know that it was. I think he liked Coach Prime and what Colorado offered, and I'm sure obviously money was involved.
Yeah, I think it was about money a little bit. I think it was about, I know they're kind of the same thing, but NIL, the whole name, image, and likeness thing, right? Your brand. His brand had a chance, Seton, at being really big at Colorado, whether we like it or not. And clicks translates into money in this age that we're in, right? And I'll tell you what, you're going to get a lot of clicks at Colorado with Coach Prime running around, whether we like it or not. But yeah, I think the Seton thing was a couple of those little factors in there. Not just all about the absolute top dollar of it, but more about the potential of the dollars, and the potential of the name recognition.
I sat down to watch YouTube tonight before I came down here to format the show.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down to watch YouTube. Travis Hunter and Deion Sanders fishing, and it's got like hundreds of thousands of views. Like,
there you go.
Prime pulls clicks, Prime pulls numbers. And like you said, numbers, it may not be NIL, but it drives up your NIL value. And I think NIL is going to be a factor for David Sanders. You're talking about the best offensive lineman in the country. Of course, NIL is going to be a factor, but I also think relationships are important. And I think Tennessee's done a good job there. I think location is important. You know, when you hear the stories that David Sanders, his family is letting him drive from Charlotte to Knoxville so that he's comfortable with that drive, that speaks to me as a parent. I'm talking about my daughter driving to high school, and I'm like, we got to drive. She's at cheer. She just started cheer practice, and she's 16. She has her license. She's driving all over the place, having a good time. And my wife's like, no, you're going to drive me because we moved out of the district. This new house is out of the district. It's a 30-minute drive. You're going to drive mama. You're going to drive mama to the school for the first 3 cheer practices. And then now you're comfortable. Tomorrow she's going to take that journey on her own. But you want your child to be comfortable with that drive. That speaks volumes to me. I think Tennessee, do they land David Sanders? I hope so. Ohio State's deep in it, man. Like, they are deep in it. But I think Tennessee's done everything they can. I think they put their best offer forward, whether that be NIL, whether that be opportunity for playing time, whether that be development, like Darnell Wright. Like, that's the first guy you're going to point to. I think Tennessee's done everything they can do, but I think, me personally, I'm with you. I think this class is solid. I like this class. It's not elite without David Sanders. I think a lot of people, a lot of fans are going to say this class is garbage without David Sanders.
Yeah, no, I think that's a little bit of fatalistic, to say the least. You know, one player doesn't make or break a class. It can change the complexion of it, as I just talked about with that elite word. I will say this, no matter what, with David Sanders and with Jordan Seton and with Francis Mauangoa, with what Tennessee is doing at the edge position, I am so happy whenever an elite offensive tackle ends up out of conference if they're not with us.
Yeah.
If they are not going to be with us, go to Colorado, go to Ohio State, go to Michigan, go where Miami, go over where you're going to go. Because I'll tell you what, Tennessee's elite at the edge right now. And if you're sending all those top 10 left tackles out of this league, I'll take that all day long, baby, because Rodney Gardner and these DNs are going to eat if you keep on doing that. So that's kind of a little silver lining for y'all.
Yeah, we'll see you in the college football playoff starting in 2024. I knew we were going over an hour and a half. There was just so much to talk about and unpack with Shan Davon Bradley, with the On300 rankings, with so many commitments coming up over the next 6 weeks, and we're going to cover as many as possible. We won't cover Travis Smith on Saturday because I'm going to be out of town. Hey, the yearly guys golf trip calls. I got to go play a little golf this weekend. I'm excited to get away, get recharged, because it's full steam ahead, because fall camp starts on July the 31st. I got to hit up Kaner. We got to get him on here and do a little preview show for fall camp. We got Jaden Lofton coming on the show next Wednesday night, the 17th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. 4-star edge rusher Jaden Lofton going to be in the house. We're going to try to get Shady Hayward back maybe the following Wednesday. If that doesn't work for him, we may go live on a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, or a Tuesday. Who knows? We got to get Shady back on the channel. We're going to do our best to do that. Go check out the merchandise. Go join the Patreon. Go join the channel. All the links are in the description. This channel does not exist without your support. That's the whole reason Jaden Lofton is going to come on. But we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. It's always a good time coming on here talking a little Vol football recruiting with Coach Jay. We miss Coach Rice tonight. I hope he had a good time with his family. Happy birthday to the little one. But that is going to do it for Coach Jay. My name is Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
I don't believe there are good people that pull for Georgia. I think they're all terrible, ugly, disgusting human beings. I think it's just that no, there are no good Georgia fans, Eric. There are none.
Mark Stoops is 2-9 against this team, and to walk around this place before the game, I was disgusted. The smugness of those guys just walking around like, we're going to walk in here, we're going to kick your ass, and you can't do anything about it. And it made me sick. And you know what? They did it. They still did it. What the hell can we not? Can we just beat this team? I know that Mark Stoops has done a lot of good things. This is his one really bad thing. The stupid stat about beating teams with a winning record and taking the next step and blah, blah. Just freaking beat Tennessee. Please, can we just stop losing to this stupid team with their stupid orange color, their stupid
Western House song.
Oh my God, we should leave it at that.
Okay.
We should close with that. That is the mind blower of mind blowers.
Good.